The Saiyan who shattered gods came to Azeroth seeking worthy opponents. But what happens when unstoppable power meets undeath itself? When Goku challenged the Lich King, he discovered something worse than any enemy he'd ever faced. A world where death isn't an ending, but a beginning of eternal servitude, where every victory feeds future defeats, and where his greatest strength became his deepest failure. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. This is the tale of how pure battle spirit collided with absolute corruption, and why even someone who can destroy planets couldn't save a single soul from the curse of the Frozen Throne. I am Thessarian, Knight of the Ebon Blade. I serve neither Alliance nor Horde now, only the necessity of keeping the Scourge contained. But I must tell you what I witnessed when the Saiyan came to Northrend. What happened when pure battle lust met eternal undeath? He appeared above Icecrown like a falling star, orange training clothes against the endless grey, that ridiculous hair defying both wind and reason. The Death Knights stationed at the Shadow Vault felt him immediately. Not his life force. We cannot sense such things anymore. We felt the void where his presence pushed against reality itself, like existence bent around him. The first thing he said upon landing was asking where he could find strong fighters. In Icecrown, surrounded by walking corpses and plague bearers. He was smiling. Lord Thorvald tried to explain. The Scourge are not fighters, he said. They are tools, weapons without will. The Geists that shamble through these wastes have no honor, no spirit, no desire for combat. They exist only to spread death. But the Saiyan, Goku he called himself, just tilted his head like a confused child. But they're moving around and attacking people, right? That means they want to fight. I watched him approach a pack of ghouls near the fleshworks. These were fresh ones, still dripping with embalming fluids. Their faces showed the terror of their final moments frozen forever. He bowed to them, actually bowed, like they were honored opponents in some tournament. The ghouls responded by trying to tear his throat out. He laughed as he dodged. Not mockingly, but with genuine joy. His movements were impossible, disappearing and reappearing faster than even Death Knight eyes could track. But he wasn't killing them. He was studying them, learning their patterns, treating mindless corpses like they had fighting styles worth respecting. Your stance is all wrong, he told a Geist missing half its skull. You're telegraphing your attacks. Here, try it like this. He demonstrated a proper fighting stance to creatures that could not learn, could not improve, could not even understand. The other Death Knights thought him mad. I knew better. I recognized something in him that reminded me of what I was before Arthas took everything. He saw potential for growth where others saw only decay. He believed anything could become stronger through training and determination. How wrong he was. How beautifully, tragically wrong. The demon hunters found him 3 days later. They'd felt the disturbance his Kai created in the twisting nether. Kain Sunfree himself came to investigate, bringing a full squad of Illidari. They materialized from the shadows of Aldothar, fell energy crackling around their glaives. Goku's reaction was pure excitement. Wow, you guys look really strong. And those are some weird energy signatures. Not like anything from my universe. Kain studied him through his spectral sight. I saw his expression shift from suspicion to intrigue. You burn with power, outsider, but it is uncorrupted, untainted by feel or void. How is this possible? I just train really hard. Want to spar? What followed was the most destructive training session in Icecrown's history. Goku fought 6 demon hunters simultaneously, and he was holding back. His speed made their fel-enhanced reflexes look sluggish. His strength shattered their glaives like glass. But what fascinated them most was how he learned. Within minutes, he was mimicking their double jumps, their dash techniques, even attempting to channel his ki in patterns similar to their fel rushes. This is amazing, he kept saying between exchanges. You guys sacrificed your eyes to see energy better? That's hardcore, though I can already sense energy pretty well without giving up body parts. Kain eventually called off the match. Half his squad was unconscious, though Goku had carefully avoided killing anyone. You fight with the fury of a demon, but the restraint of a monk. This should not be possible. I've had good teachers. Speaking of which, I heard about someone called the Lich King. They say he's the strongest on this continent. Where can I find him? The temperature dropped. Not metaphorically. Frost literally began forming on the ground. Even the demon hunters stepped back. You do not speak that name lightly in Icecrown. You don't find the Lich King, Kain said carefully. He finds you, and when he does, you join him or you feed his armies. There is no third option. Goku's smile widened. Sounds perfect. I love impossible challenges. Have you ever wondered which of Azeroth's corruptions would claim them first? Drop your theories in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in thinking about this. The Illidari agreed to train with him. I think they saw an opportunity. Someone with his power, properly harnessed, could tip the balance against the Legion. They took him to the captured Legion ship above Mardum. For a week they tried to teach him their ways. How to weaponize inner darkness. How to turn hunger into power. How to see through the facades of reality to the truth beneath. He was a terrible student in all the ways that mattered. He couldn't embrace darkness because he didn't have any. His hunger was for battle and food, not power. When they showed him how to peer through dimensions, he just complained it gave him a headache. But in combat, he absorbed everything. Their acrobatic styles, their momentum-based attacks, their ability to chain movements into devastating combinations. He adapted it all into his existing techniques. He called it Demon Rush Kamehameha when he combined their Fell Rush with his signature energy wave. The resulting blast carved a canyon through the broken shore that still hasn't closed. Alari the Soul Eater tried to warn him about Northrend's true danger. The Lich King doesn't just command death. He is death. Every corpse that falls becomes his. Every soul feeds his power. Fighting him means fighting everyone who has ever died in his presence. That sounds like a lot of enemies. Good. I haven't had a proper workout in ages. They gave up trying to make him understand. How do you explain existential horror to someone who treats apocalypses like training opportunities? The bronze dragonflight noticed him next. His presence was creating temporal anomalies. Every time he powered up, timelines started branching in impossible directions. Chromie appeared one morning while he was doing push-ups in a blizzard. One-handed push-ups with a proto-Drake skeleton balanced on his back for weight. Hi there, champion. You're kind of breaking time a little bit. Want to talk about that? He dropped the skeleton and bounced to his feet. Oh, sorry. Are you from the Time Patrol? I dealt with them before. Am I not supposed to be here? That's the thing. We can't tell. You simultaneously should and shouldn't exist in this timeline. It's giving the infinite dragonflight ideas, and trust me, that's never good. She explained about the dragon aspects, about the flows of time, about how certain artifacts could anchor temporal anomalies. Goku listened with the same expression he wore when people explained taxes to him. Polite confusion mixed with the hope someone would want to fight soon. So, these Dragon Balls you mentioned from your world, they grant wishes. Yeah, collect all 7 and a dragon appears to grant almost any wish. We've used them to bring people back from the dead lots of times. Chromie's cheerful expression flickered. Bring back the dead. Without corruption, without servitude, without losing their souls? Sure, good as new, sometimes even stronger. I saw her true form shimmer for a moment. The massive bronze dragon beneath the gnome illusion. That kind of power would break Azeroth. The Lich King would... She stopped herself. Would you like to see something interesting? She took him through time, showed him the War of the Ancients, the Sundering, the rise and fall of kingdoms. He watched it all with mild interest until she showed him the strongest beings from each era. Then his attention sharpened. Archimonde, Kil'jaeden, Deathwing, the old gods before their imprisonment. Can I fight any of them? They're either dead, banished, or imprisoned outside reality. But the Lich King is still around, right? He seems pretty strong. Chromie sighed in that way dragons do when mortals miss the point. Strength isn't always about power levels, as you call them. The Lich King wins by making your strength his own. Every victory against his forces makes him stronger. Every death feeds his armies, so he gets stronger the more you fight him. That's perfect. She gave up and sent him back to the present. But she left him with a warning that haunts me still. Be careful what you wish for, Saiyan. In Azeroth, even hope can be corrupted. The cultists found him next. The cult of the damned had been watching, waiting. They saw what everyone else missed. He was incorruptible in all the ways that didn't matter, but vulnerable in the one way that did. He wanted to fight, needed to fight, and the Scourge could give him endless battle. They approached him outside the Argent tournament grounds, where he'd been disappointing knights by defeating them without effort. They approached him outside the Argent tournament grounds, where he'd been disappointing knights by defeating them without effort. Champion, they called him. These servants of undeath wearing stolen faces. You seek the strongest. We can take you to him. Goku turned from the unconscious paladin he'd been trying to wake up. The man had fainted after one blocked punch. Really? You know where the Lich King is? We serve the master. We can arrange an audience. But first, you must prove yourself worthy. They led him to the Hidden Hollow, where they conducted their foul rituals. Bodies of failed initiates littered the ground. their souls trapped in crystals that powered necromantic experiments. Goku walked through this garden of atrocities like it was a normal training ground. "Your first test," the lead cultist said, "is to command death itself." They brought him a freshly killed courier, still warm, the man's last letter to his family still clutched in his hand. They handed Goku the tools of necromancy, the bone dust, the unholy water, the words of binding that would drag a soul back into its corpse. He looked at the implements with confusion. Why would I want to bring him back wrong? If you're going to resurrect someone, shouldn't they be healthy? Death is not about health, it is about service, about power over the weak. That doesn't make sense. The weak should become strong through training, not slavery. The cultists exchanged glances. They tried a different approach. They showed him the Lich King's greatest Death Knights, showed him how they retained their skills, their memories, their personalities, just bound to eternal service. They thought this would appeal to his warrior's nature. So they can't choose who to fight anymore. They fight for the master forever. That sounds terrible. What's the point of fighting if you can't choose your battles? If you can't grow stronger by your own will? The cultists were learning what the demon hunters had discovered. He operated on completely different principles, but they had one more gambit. They told him about Frostmourne. The runeblade contains thousands of souls, warriors from across history, kings, heroes, champions, all their power concentrated in one perfect weapon. Whoever faces it faces the combined might of every soul it has claimed. His eyes lit up. Finally, something that spoke to him. So fighting the Lich King means fighting thousands of warriors at once? In a sense, yes. Then what are we waiting for? They tried to explain that approaching the frozen throne required preparation, rituals, protective wards, the proper mindset to resist domination. Goku listened for about 30 seconds before flying off toward Icecrown Citadel. I was stationed at the Shadow Vault when he passed overhead, leaving a trail of displaced air that shattered windows. The other Death Knights mobilized immediately, not to stop him. We knew that was impossible, but to witness what would happen when raw power met absolute control. He landed at the gates of Icecrown Citadel with enough force to crack the Saronite foundations. The undead guardians swarmed him immediately, thousands of them, geists, ghouls, abominations, bone colossuses, wave after wave of endless dead. He was laughing as he fought, not cruelly, but with genuine joy. His movements were a dance of destruction, each punch vaporizing dozens of undead, each kick sending hundreds flying. But for everyone he destroyed, 2 more took their place. The Lich King's army is infinite, death itself is infinite. "This is great training," he shouted over the sound of shattering bones. "They just keep coming." Lord Marrogar emerged from the spire, that fusion of countless corpses bound into one osseous horror. The master sees you living flame. He offers you a choice. If the choice is fighting him, then yes, serve or die. Neither. I choose fighting. Marrogar's bone storm should have flayed him alive. Instead, Goku walked through it like rain, the fragments unable to penetrate his Kai shield. He studied the pattern of the whirling bones, then suddenly moved. One punch to Marrogar's center, precisely calculated. The bone construct exploded into its component pieces, thousands of individual bones clattering across the frozen ground. But they immediately began reforming. This is what outsiders never understand about the Scourge. You cannot kill what is already dead. You can only delay it. Lady Deathwhisper descended from her platform, surrounded by her cult followers. Such magnificent life force. The master will enjoy breaking you. "Lady, I don't know what your deal is, but I'm just here for a good fight. Can you point me to the throne room?" She began her dark sermon, the one that had converted thousands to undeath. Words that wormed into minds and souls, promising power through surrender, strength through servitude. Her voice carried the weight of inevitable death, the certainty that all things must end and serve. Goku yawned, actually yawned. "Sorry, speeches make me sleepy. Are we going to fight or not?" Her composure cracked. She unleashed her full power, death and decay, frost and shadow, the very essence of entropy given form. The chamber filled with screaming souls. The temperature dropped to absolute zero. Reality itself began to necrotize around her. He powered up in response, just to his base Super Saiyan form, but it was enough. Golden light exploded through the citadel, burning away shadow, melting ice that hadn't thawed in decades. The cultists screamed as positive energy seared their undead flesh. Lady Deathwhisper herself staggered back, her perfect corpse-pale skin cracking like porcelain. Impossible. Life cannot burn so bright in the heart of death. I don't know about that, but you guys really need better ventilation in here. It smells like a graveyard. If you had their power in Azeroth, would you choose Alliance, Horde, or stay neutral? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them. The battle attracted everyone. Alliance gunships began circling the Citadel. Horde war parties gathered at the base. The Argent Crusade mobilized their forces. Everyone wanted to see what would happen when this impossible outsider reached the frozen throne. He carved through the Citadel like it was made of paper. The Blood Princes, ancient vampiric Sanlane, who had served since before the Sundering, tried to drain his life force. He had so much life they exploded from overfeeding. Professor Putricide threw every plague ever devised at him. His metabolism burned through them like they were spicy food. Sindragosa, the Frostworm Queen, tried to freeze him in a tomb of ice. He shattered it with a flex, but something was happening to him. I could see it with my death sight. Each enemy he defeated, each soul he scattered, they weren't disappearing. They were gathering, circling him like invisible flies. The Lich King was letting him advance, letting him think he was winning. The Saiyan reached the Blood Queen's chamber. Lanethel stood waiting, beautiful and terrible, her fangs gleaming in the dim light. You have impressed the master. He offers you a gift. If it's not a good fight, I'm not interested. Oh, but it is. The gift of endless battle, forever. She moved faster than anything living should move. Vampiric speed enhanced by the Lich King's power. Her fangs found his neck before he could react. Not because she was faster, but because he didn't see her as a threat until too late. She bit down and immediately recoiled, screaming. His blood burned, not with corruption or disease, but with pure life force. Kai-infused blood that scorched undead flesh like holy water. Lanethel fell to her knees, smoke rising from her mouth. Are you okay? He actually sounded concerned. I should have warned you. My body tends to react badly to absorption techniques. She looked up at him with something like awe. What are you? I'm Goku. I'm here to fight the Lich King. He's waiting for you. He's been waiting since you arrived. Everything you've fought, everyone you've defeated. It was all to measure you, to understand you, to find your weakness. Good. I hope he found it. Fights are boring if your opponent doesn't know how to push you. He left her there and ascended the final stairs, the path to the frozen throne. Ice that had never melted began to crack under his footsteps. The air itself grew thick with anticipation. Tyrion Fordring was already there with his Argent Crusade forces, locked in battle with the Lich King's guardians. Turn back, warrior, he called out. This is not your fight. Any fight can be mine if I want it to be. He walked past the paladins, past the Death Knights, past the holy and the damned alike. They all stopped fighting to watch. Everyone wanted to see what would happen when uncorrupted power met absolute corruption. The Lich King sat on the frozen throne. Arthas, or what remained of him, encased in armor that contained the screaming souls of millions. Frostmourne across his lap, humming with stolen power. The temperature around him was so cold that light itself seemed to freeze and shatter. So, the Lich King spoke, his voice the sound of ending winters. You are the anomaly, the one who cannot be turned. Goku tilted his head, studying the figure on the throne. You're the Lich King. You feel strong but also empty, like there's a lot of power, but no one home. I am death incarnate. I am the end of all things. And you, Saiyan, are an impossibility that must be corrected. Cool. Want to fight? The Lich King rose from the frozen throne. The motion was deliberate, measured. Frostmourne sang as it moved through the air, each swing leaving trails of screaming souls in its wake. You still don't understand. This is not a battle. This is an execution. That's what they all say. The first clash shattered Icecrown Citadel's foundations. Goku met Frostmourne with his bare hands, catching the rune blade between his palms. The souls within the blade shrieked at his touch, reaching out with spectral fingers to drag him into their eternal torment. He just grinned. This sword is incredible. I can feel thousands of warriors inside it. Are they all fighting too? The Lich King pressed down with the weight of death itself. The ground beneath Goku's feet cracked, then shattered, dropping him through multiple floors of the citadel. He flew back up instantly, golden aura blazing brighter. You're holding back. Why? Because I want you to understand something first, the Lich King said. Every enemy you've defeated in my citadel, their essence now serves me. Every blow you've struck has only added to my power. He raised his hand. The broken bodies of every undead Goku had destroyed began to reform, but different. They rose with golden energy crackling through their bones. They had absorbed traces of his Kai from when he'd destroyed them. Behold, Your power, turn to my purpose. The ki-infused undead moved differently, faster, stronger. They attempted crude versions of his techniques, malformed Kamehamehas of necrotic energy, death-powered instant transmissions that left trails of frost through space. Goku's eyes widened with delight. You made them stronger. This is amazing. Now I can fight myself and you at the same time. He burst into Super Saiyan 2, lightning crackling around his aura. The citadel couldn't contain the energy release. The roof exploded outward, exposing the throne room to the eternal winter of Icecrown. He moved through the ki-powered undead like a blade through smoke. But this time, he was studying them, learning how his own power looked when corrupted. Interesting. The ki signature is similar but wrong. Like a photocopy of a photocopy. You can steal power, but not the spirit behind it. Spirit, the Lich King said, raising Frostmourne, is weakness. Observe. He plunged the rune blade into the frozen ground. Immediately, every corpse within miles began to rise. Not just the recently dead, ancient bones from wars long forgotten. Victims of the plague, fallen heroes from countless battles. They rose and began walking toward the citadel. But more than that, the souls of everyone Goku had ever failed to save, every enemy he'd killed, every person who had died while he was fighting elsewhere. Shadow versions of them began to manifest around the Lich King. Not truly them, but echoes pulled from the universal consciousness, given form by death magic. Everyone dies, Saiyan. Everyone you've ever known will die, and when they do, they become mine. For the first time since arriving in Azeroth, Goku's expression grew serious. You're wrong. Death isn't the end. I've died multiple times. My friends have died. We came back stronger. In your universe, perhaps. But you're in Azeroth now. Here, death is my domain. They clashed again. This time, neither held back. The Lich King moved with the inexorable force of entropy itself. Each swing of Frostmourne carved reality, leaving wounds in space that bled screaming souls. His frost magic turned the air solid, created weapons from frozen time, summoned blizzards that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Goku responded by ascending, Super Saiyan 3, his hair growing impossibly long, his power shaking the entire continent. Mountains crumbled. The sea began to boil despite being miles away. The sky itself cracked like broken glass. This is more like it, he roared over the sound of reality protesting. He moved faster than thought, striking the Lich King with planet-breaking force. Each punch created shockwaves that leveled mountains. Each kick generated enough heat to melt permafrost that had existed since the world's creation. But the Lich King endured. This is what Goku couldn't understand. The Lich King wasn't just Arthas anymore. He was the concept of death-given form. Every ending, every cessation, every final breath that had ever occurred in Azeroth fed his existence. You cannot kill death itself. Your power is magnificent, the Lich King admitted, as he reformed from being temporarily vaporized. But power without purpose is meaningless. What do you fight for, Saiyan? To get stronger, to protect my friends, to face the next challenge. And when your friends are dead, when you are the strongest, when no challenges remain, then I'll find new friends, new challenges. There's always someone stronger out there. Not here. In Azeroth, I am the end. I am what remains when everything else falls. And you, with all your power, are still mortal, still finite, still capable of being broken. The Lich King changed tactics. Instead of matching Goku's physical power, he attacked his spirit. Visions flooded the Saiyan's mind. His friends and family from Earth, corrupted by the Scourge. Vegeta as a Death Knight, maintaining his pride even in undeath. Gohan transformed into a Lich, his scholarly nature twisted into necromantic research. Chi-Chi as a Banshee, her protective fury turned into eternal vengeance. Stop it, Goku said, his aura flickering. This is truth. This is inevitability. Everyone you love will die, and in death they will serve. More visions. The earth itself corrupted, turned into a second ice crown. The Dragon Balls perverted into phylacteries that spread undeath instead of granting wishes. The afterlife itself invaded. King Kai's planet overrun by the Scourge. Goku's power began to drop, not from exhaustion, but from something else. Doubt. The one thing he'd never truly faced. The possibility that some enemies couldn't be redeemed. Some situations couldn't be overcome through training and determination. The Lich King pressed his advantage. You want to become stronger? Serve me. Death is the ultimate power. The dead fear nothing, feel no pain, never tire. You could fight forever, never needing rest or food or companionship. Pure battle, eternal and unending. That's not fighting, Goku said, his voice quiet. That's just motion. Fighting means risking something, growing, changing. The dead don't change. Then die and find out. Frostmourne pierced Goku's chest, not because he was too slow to dodge, but because he wanted to understand. The blade slid through his key defenses like they weren't there, finding his heart with supernatural accuracy. The pain was extraordinary. Not physical, he'd endured far worse. This was spiritual pain. The blade was trying to tear his soul from his body, to add it to its collection. He felt the millions of souls within Frostmourne pulling at him, welcoming him to their eternal prison. But something else happened. His soul fought back. Not consciously, but instinctively. The pure life force that had burned Lady Deathwhisper, that had made his blood toxic to undead, blazed from within. Frostmourne began to crack. Impossible, the Lich King said. I told you, Goku gasped, golden blood running down his chest. Death isn't the end where I come from. He grabbed Frostmourne with both hands and channeled everything into it. Not just his ki, but his spirit, his love of battle, his joy in growth, his bonds with friends, his hope for the future. Pure, uncorrupted life force poured into the blade of death. The souls within Frostmourne screamed, but not in pain, in recognition. They remembered what it was like to be alive, to have hope, to fight because they chose to, not because they were commanded. The rune blade shattered. The explosion was visible from space. Every soul Frostmourne had ever claimed was released simultaneously, creating a pillar of light that pierced the heavens. The Lich King staggered, his connection to millions of undead servants suddenly severed. What have you done? Goku pulled the broken blade from his chest, the wound already healing. I gave them a choice. That's what fighting is really about. Choosing to stand up even when you might fall. The freed souls swirled around them, no longer bound but not yet departed. Some faded immediately, finding peace. Others lingered, watching. A few even seemed to bow to Goku before dissipating. The Lich King fell to his knees. Without Frostmourne, without the souls that powered him, he was just Arthas again. Broken, hollow. A man who had sacrificed everything for power and found only emptiness. Kill me, Arthas whispered. End it. Goku knelt beside him. I don't kill beaten opponents, but you need help. Maybe we can find a way to fix this. The Dragon Balls don't exist here, Saiyan. Some things cannot be undone. Some choices cannot be unmade. The Citadel began to collapse. Without the Lich King's will holding it together, without Frostmourne's power maintaining its structure, Icecrown Citadel started falling apart. The Argent Crusade and Death Knights began evacuating, but Goku stayed with Arthas. There's always hope, he said. Not in Azeroth. Here, every victory plants the seeds of the next defeat. You've destroyed the Lich King, but the Scourge remains. Without control, they'll rampage across the world. Millions will die. Then someone will stop them. Who? You. Will you stay forever, fighting endless waves of mindless dead? Or will you leave, chasing your next challenge, while Azeroth burns? Goku had no answer. This was the cruel truth of this world. Problems couldn't be solved with a single climactic battle. Evil couldn't be punched into redemption. Some things were truly broken beyond repair. Bolvar 4 Dragon arrived, scarred by dragonfire, kept alive by rage alone. There must always be a Lich King. Someone must take the crown, or the Scourge will consume everything. That's insane, Goku protested. You're just continuing the cycle. Welcome to Azeroth, Bolvar said bitterly. Here, we don't get happy endings. We get necessary evils. As I watched Bolvar take the crown, becoming the new Lich King, I saw something die in Goku's eyes. Not his spirit, that could never truly break, but his innocence. His belief that every problem had a solution. Every enemy could become a friend. Every wrong could be made right through sufficient effort. He left that day, flying away from Icecrown without a word. The demon hunters say they saw him one more time, sitting on a mountain peak, staring at his hands. The hands that could shatter planets but couldn't save a single world from its own nature. The bronze dragonflight claims he eventually found a way home, though the temporal scars his presence left still haven't healed. But I know the truth. Part of him never left. Part of him is still here, in every freed soul that chose peace over servitude. In every Death Knight who remembers what hope feels like, in the cracks of a broken crown that will never fully mend. He came seeking the strongest opponent and found something worse. He found a war that couldn't be won, only endured. He found that sometimes, being powerful enough to destroy everything means nothing if you can't save anyone. That's Azeroth's gift to heroes. We take your strength and show you how worthless it really is.